Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
how
how
are
are
you?
you?
Finally. Finally, I see you right here. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very sorry. We got slightly delayed at the previous session. It was all about lighting for cinemas. Everybody was into the frames and into the camera lights. So it took some time. How have you been?
Good,
We've
we've
been
been
good.
good.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
Excited.
this previous weekend, we was in another film festival where our film had been selected, Talk. So
Wow.
we were excited.
Yes.
Yes,
Wow. Which festival is that?
The Playhouse West Film Festival in Philadelphia.
yes.
And what's the film about?
So the film is about a woman struggling through depression and suicidal thoughts and how she can overcome them. She chooses to overcome them. And basically, people reach out to her in the film to help her overcome that situation and be better for herself.
Nice. It's a short film?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
23 minutes long.
That, that's the perfect duration, actually. Like 20 to 22 minutes is a very good time to achieve a narrative. Awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. So, welcome to the Malhar Film Festival. And I'm very honored that you have turned around and been here ever since I've been talking to you. And you've given all the time and support. It really means a lot to us.
Well, we're honored to be here.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. So the festival is obviously covering three time zones. So people log in and log out depending on their jobs and different things that are happening. So the way we have structured is that whatever conversations happen, they're available to people as a recording later on. So depending on the speakers, like if you're open to people contacting you later with their questions, that's there. Otherwise, it can happen through the festival in a moderated manner. All of that is as options available, right?
Yeah.
So
All right.
perfect. I know we delayed, so we'll just go ahead, and people can join in whenever they're joining. So everybody, allow me to welcome. How do I spell the name correctly? Naima.
Naima.
Naima. Okay, perfect. So Naima and Nia, they are from the United States, and they have a production house called Nubu. Is that correct?
Yeah. New
Yes.
View Productions. Yes.
Nubu. And so Naima looks after as a producer, and Nia looks into post production, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
directing.
Yes. Mhm.
And that's such a great team to be like having it all in house within you. So today, like sticking to the topic of what they don't teach you at the film school, the kind
Yes.
of take that we've been taking at the festival. What we're looking at, specially focusing on, is the real life aspect of a production cycle, right? And of course, the topic here is to make sure that we differentiate the theory with the practical, right? So we all have a lot of theories from the books we read, from the conversations we hear, from the schools we go to, and it takes a couple of years into actual filmmaking that we start developing our own processes into each of them. Yeah. So, I mean, Naima and Nia, if you could take like a few minutes and help us know you a little more than the scanty introduction that I've done of you,
Oh, no.
more deeper into what you've been doing, and then we'll get into your process and your thoughts about producing.
Thank
Okay.
you. Well, one, it's an honor to be here, and I'm glad to be speaking with you today and speaking with everyone on this panel.
Yes.
A little bit of background for me: I went to school for film and video production, the science of film and video production at the Art Institute of Philadelphia. And then from there, we created a short film called Faithful, which we have on Amazon Prime. Well, it's on Amazon now. We're switching it over to Amazon Prime soon. And we just finished a feature-length romantic drama called Tender Days,
Yes.
and that currently is on Tubi, the streaming channel, and is also on Amazon and Box Brazil as well. So it's hopefully we get more traction when it comes to that too. and more people can watch it. So I think that was a really big accomplishment for us, and one of the biggest projects I've worked on as a director, which really put in place a lot of realities for me, as opposed to, planning things out to actually executing that plan.
Mm.
And I graduated with a BA in psychology from LaSalle University. And in around 2008, we started thinking about doing filmmaking. But it was pretty much amateur. We knew nothing about filmmaking. So I bought a big expensive camera, I bought big expensive software, and had no clue how to use it. And so it kind of sat, it's still on my shelf as a souvenir, a reminder, and I started writing around 2008, script writing. So I do script writing, and in addition to producing. So that's interesting. And for interesting hat to change over to once it starts production.
When did you say you start? You started which year?
2008,
Mhm.
Sorry,
2008, 2008, 2008.
2008. Okay. And
Yes.
you have a feature which is already there and you have several other productions. That's not too bad at all to start just start like that and be pretty much sorted with different mediums, different lengths of the films. Awesome. And both of you mostly work together with each other and complement each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Practice.
Oh, awesome. So this is very special. So far, we've had all the panels where we have had a single guest. This is our first panel with two guests. And so I'm very excited to know same aspect from two brains working together, what is going to be similar and what's going to be different. So let's look at. So we were talking about, Naima, a few things, right?
Yes.
Let's look at what is it that they do not teach in the film school about realistic location time frames, the realistic aspect of location and time frames.
Well, when we were on production, what we were finding is that the when you have to take in all the aspects, we book out maybe 2 hours, maybe 4 hours for filming. Unfortunately, you can't control, your actors being late. You can't control your, you can't control whether the location is ready. You
Yeah.
can't control a lot of things. And you also can't control when the how long you're gonna, how many takes you're gonna have to take,
Mhm.
which is a problem when you have a set time frame. So
Right.
you definitely have to overestimate how much time you're going to need
Mm,
I
and
would
pay for it.
Yeah.
that's
So I
interesting.
would say when it comes to, bouncing off of what Naima said, is that when you schedule out these times, right, you might think, okay, it might take me an hour to set up and everything. But, taking into account that it's the setup time, it's the lighting. I know you're speaking that you had a conversation not too long ago about lighting, which is extremely important,
Yeah.
how everything is lit and cinematography wise. So, I would say even with that, and also be accountable for making sure that you talk to the owners of the locations just to make sure and say, hey, I do have this location booked. Is anyone going to be there to unlock the door for us to get
Yes.
in there on time? Because for one of our locations, we had everything set, everything ready to go, but the door was locked. And we're like, oh no. So that
Yes.
put us an hour behind
Yes.
in scheduled shoot time. So just make sure to take account for things that you may not be expecting.
Yeah.
Also, environment. One of the issues that we had is during filming, someone upstairs decided, okay, they're over the time. We're going to play loud music.
Yeah. There
And
you
that's
go.
very problematic
Mhm.
when you're trying to get your sound just right.
Yes. And
Perfect
the
timing.
other thing for
Yes.
and
So
location.
what do you do? You go beat up those neighbors, or what do you do?
Well,
Well,
occasionally we ask someone to knock on the door. Usually the biggest guy that we
Oh,
know on a set, and we ask him to, hey, can you just knock on the door,
and
depending on who it is. Yes, and ask, please. Using manners. Just being polite and
yeah.
saying, please, can you just, we're filming.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
and
after
agreed.
the-
I mean, we I mean, the filming people can be quite quite daunting to a lot of people because we walk in with so much equipment and so many cast and crews often that, like, if you're in a non-filming location, people just get hassled. What the hell are you guys doing in
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Nia, you were
Oh,
saying something.
I would also say, to take pictures of the location before you
Yes.
start setting up and afterwards so that they know, once you cleaned everything and made sure everything was put back where it was, you can make sure that the owner knows that you are also taking care of the property that they allowed you to use.
Even
Right.
if you go over time, you make sure when you leave that location, it's perfect, just the way you left it.
Very, very, very important. Absolutely. Um, Nia, what is it that they don't teach you at the film school about the editing timelines?
All right, so I would say about the editing timelines in schools, like you had like a set goal, right? And you're kind of like, okay, well, this is how long it's going to take me, right? I would say when it comes to editing timelines outside of school, they don't tell you that you have to be very intricate and strategic with how you place different shots and how much time that's going to take. Because I feel like there was a lot of, with the editing, even some VFX, that we had to do when it was like a blemish here or a blemish there, things that we didn't account for, during production, all that stuff just comes to light. It's like having a magnifying glass or a magnifying glass and you just see all the problems. For a minute, you're just like, oh, I'm hating this right now. But then you're getting through it and you think it starts to look better. You're like, okay, I'm in the clear. So,
Right. So
yeah.
everything that was messed up on the shoot is going to show up on the edit table.
Yes, yes,
And and that's what you need to have it planned on your timeline.
yes, indeed.
Naima and both of you, what is it that they don't teach us at the film schools about the film premieres? Like how to go about the film premieres, what to even expect at a film premiere. What is it about screening at large commercial theaters? Because of course, as a school student, that's a dream, to make a
Yes.
film, to tell a story that's going to get premiered somewhere, right? Or have a large commercial opening. But that's just a dream, and we don't have any way to get to it. We just feel that, okay, we'll make a film so good one day that it will reach the premiere. But I'm sure it's not just that. But what is it that you know about?
Well, be on all of their newsletters, be on their newsletters, because what they like to do occasionally is pop up with a sale or pop up with a time when things are low. Like right now, theaters are really going through it
Mm-hmm.
economically. And
Mm.
so they provide these little windows of opportunity, but they're
Mm.
only on their emails, their private emails.
Right.
And so you get this email and it says, oh, flash deal, you know. Also, you have to be personable. Talk to the people who are at the theaters who are running things.
Mhm.
Right.
Call them, email them. A lot of times you do not get the email back. You will not get the email back when you first ask. And so you just keep asking. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
keep asking
Talk to them.
politely.
Hmm.
Hi, I sent you an email. My name is so and so. Call. Hi, I sent an email,
Mhm.
and using your manners, and also definitely being persistent. And
Hmm.
then you get this window, and then you be ready.
Hmm.
You have to be ready, like the theaters, like any other movie company that's coming, any production company that's coming.
Yeah.
Know the standard, fulfill the standard, and be on time for everything that they ask for. When they mess up, like they're late or they forget your appointment, no problem. When could we schedule again? Things
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
I
They
That's
would,
don't.
yeah, Nia.
yes.
You were adding a
So
point.
I would say, when it comes to that, they also have, with the deals and everything. And it's important to also go to them, talk to them, like let them, with the emails, let them see you, hear your voice on the phone. If you talk to them in person, it's kind of hard to ignore when you're sending an email to them, right?
Right.
Because then you're building this like connection.
Yeah.
I would also say that making sure that your film is ready to be screened. That's a big thing too. So, oftentimes the theater will have like a previewing or a testing day
Hmm.
so that you can test out the film before you actually screen it so there's no problems, right? So I would say with that, they might have different things where they ask for a drive, like a DPI of sorts, or maybe a DVD, or if it's going to be played on a laptop, just making sure that you have the configurations for that. That would be helpful to the theater that you're showing it in.
And if you don't know it, get somebody who does. Somebody knows somebody who knows exactly what you need.
Perfect. But just be prepared. Of course, I think
Yes,
because if you're
yes,
sending an email out, you can just turn lucky the next moment, maybe, and then not being prepared is a bad idea.
yes,
Right.
yes. And they don't have the tolerance for it.
Yeah. The
So
second time might be difficult or impossible with the
yeah.
same people otherwise.
Right.
Also, when you actually show the premiere, the same as with the location. Make sure you leave it perfect.
Hmm.
We went above and beyond for our premiere. So now we have an established relationship
Right.
at
Yeah.
theater.
Mhm.
So they know, they compliment us. Oh, this is great. You got your people out on time. They weren't hanging around, you
Hmm.
know. And so we have an established relationship. And now they know that if we want to display something there, they're more willing to because they know that we'll manage everything properly.
That we were
Absolutely.
responsible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what
And
matters to them. It's their space
Yes.
that really
also,
matters to them. Yeah.
Yes.
mhm. And then I would also say, some theaters, they might have it so that you might be able to pay a little bit extra just to have like the poster there or the name tag there of your film. And that would be really nice too, because I think the first time that we showed our first film,
Faithful.
Faithful, we had the name
Yes.
at the top of the theater showing. And even people who didn't know about our film were bored, came in
Yes.
and bought a ticket, which
Yes.
was funny,
Yes.
which was really nice. So I
Visibility.
would say that.
It's all about visibility. Like being, if you're
Yes.
at a
Yes.
physical space, then even somebody who's passing by should know that there's something like that going on inside. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Hmm. Okay. So that's what we're saying about the premieres and the large screenings is find your way by getting in touch with them, talking to them, making sure that they know that you exist, and looking at those small pockets of openings that open up every now and then. And then once
Yes.
Right.
you have it, respect the space, take it up, leave it the way you got it, and build a relationship. It's all about the next time, the way
Yes.
you close it the first time. All right.
Oh, and insurance, because they'll
Oh,
often
yes,
ask
definitely have
you
insurance.
for insurance. So if you have like filmmakers insurance or film or business insurance, right?
Mhm.
They'll ask to put that onto your or the theater onto your insurance as an extra cost. So you have to be careful of that and make sure that that's attached to your insurance, or else they may not let you use the film space even if you're renting it for a low price.
I will say a lot of people are overwhelmed when they hear about insurance, especially when it's like $1 million coverage, but it's not $1 million for your premium. It's just the big number. So they
Yeah.
know that anything happens, but you don't pay that. You pay a little bit. So they don't
It's
really tell
worth
you.
it's worth investing that money.
Yes, yes,
Yes. Mhm.
Absolutely. And this is very different from country to country. Like
yes,
Right.
this is like the whole legalities, insurance, and setting up the things, how you approach an organization. This is very different from, continent to continent, country to country. But I think what you're saying primarily is that if you're aiming at premieres for the first time, keep your stuff ready, keep your film ready, will be available in the right formats. If you don't know what the formats are, like Naima said, get somebody who knows it. Somebody would know it. So get that sorted. Like, don't wait for the screening, the commercial space to tell you what they want it in. It's all there. It's all standard information. So be prepared already, and then like get insured. It's always good for them to know that you're insured and that their space is insured eventually.
yes.
Mhm.
What about distribution? So at the film school we are all learning about uh, putting a story together, getting your narrative tight, and making the audience believe in what you're trying to say. That I feel is a larger focus, you know. But once that's done, then of course nobody's making that film to keep it in their living rooms, so it has to go to the distributor, right? I find the distributor network to be very fragmented and unstructured, everywhere in the world, But what is it that you have learned about distribution for independent filmmakers?
Don't try to reinvent the wheel, basically. Find people who are doing it who are reputable, who are taking the smaller films, because the bigger companies now are really dominating the world, really. Even Disney are dominating the world. They're going to different countries now and they're really trying to monopolize.
Yeah.
So smaller companies aren't getting as much view, streaming wise, especially. So what you have to understand is, so you find people who already done it, and you cover yourself so you can focus on creating. So what we did was we said, okay, the bigger companies, the film hubs that give you a large percentage, they take a little percentage. You take the largest percentage, not they take the largest, you take the little. You take the largest, they take the little. They already know the standard. They tell you what you need to do, what you need to change, all the aspects. You give it to them, and then they market.
Right.
You make sure that they have a reputable reputation with the bigger companies that stream. We were scared. It was nervous. We were nervous and at first, because we were like trying to negotiate, because we hadn't already negotiated with Amazon. And we had already had our film on Prime.
Yeah.
So then when they kind of kicked all the independents out, we're like, wait, hold up, what is this? And so we learned the hard way that they were no longer dealing with individuals, they were dealing with film hubs. And so we needed to find a reputable film hub that wasn't going to take all of our profit, a distributor, that wasn't going to take all our profit, and that we wouldn't have to do as much work when it comes to making it available to the bigger streaming services.
Yeah, and I would say that oftentimes if you're trying to do it yourself, you would still need like someone like a lawyer or someone or an aggregator to help and make that happen, make that deal happen.
Yes.
Right. So I would say if you're trying to get distribution through or I would say with someone who's working individually, right, like a lawyer of sorts, that's one way to go about it. Another way is to find a company that is going to distribute your film, that has interest, which is oftentimes difficult to find, or someone that is basically based on collecting like indie films or working with indie filmmakers to distribute your film to different streaming platforms, right? So I would say with that, there's been like a place called Indie Rights, and you can look them up too. There's some things that they will accept, some things they don't. That's within their parameters and what they're going to speak on when it comes to individually with the filmmakers. And then also Film Hub is another one that's really good, I would say. Just finding places that will give you the amount that you're looking for when it comes to like rights. I think that with Film Hub and with the other indie rights film, you hold all the rights to your film, but the proceeds would be like an 80-20.
I also think that don't give up on, we did have it on Amazon Prime for rent and buy, which actually did help us when it came down to dealing with distributors. So you can go to them. So try you're on your own also to contact bigger streaming services. And if somebody does accept you, then you have a leverage,
Right.
When it comes to reputable distributors.
But in the first place, like for you, how did you get access to Amazon Prime? Like, I know that opened up a lot of doors for later, but how did that happen? What did you do to make that happen for you?
Yeah,
Lots of
so
research.
yeah, one of the requirements is that you show your film in a physical
Yes,
location.
yes.
Ah.
Very important. You have to premiere it somewhere. It
Mhm.
has to be on large screen somewhere.
Mhm.
And so you have getting that is important. I don't care if it's a small theater,
Right.
it's a big screen. You
Hmm.
invite people, you sell tickets,
Yeah.
record that down. It's like a birthday for your film.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Mhm. And it's very important because, they'll ask you how much did it cost to make your film?
Yes.
Who was involved in the making of your film? Who's distributing your film right now? The other thing that they'll ask is like, how much did you make when it came to the sales? I don't know if they might ask you that more or not.
Right. They
But
do, but it's not as important.
mhm,
You kind of have to you you be realistic, but most likely it's more so get as many people, cousins, friends, anybody, bring
Right.
them all to your film.
mhm.
Hmm.
The most important thing is that you showed it.
Yeah, and write down and that you have the name of the theater that you showed it in.
Yes, the name of the theater, definitely. And also establish yourself online. No matter what country you're in, establish yourself online where people go to. We are on IMDb and
Mm-hmm.
we pay the extra for the pro.
Yeah.
That's an investment. That's an important investment because it's like Googling,
Yeah.
well, if I Google you, will I find you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you Google us, you'll find us.
Right.
You know what films
You
we've
need to be
done.
available. You need to be.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah. Again, you need to be visible in the right place.
yes.
Mhm.
And it doesn't cost a lot. It,
Yeah.
it, it is reasonable. It's a sacrifice, but it's reasonable.
Fair enough. It's all investment towards the larger picture. Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Nia, what is at the film school when you do planning for the post production? Uh, do you, did you gather the difference between editing for a feature versus a corporate versus a independent film? Like, what is it that you learned at the student level, and what is it that you learned about different formats when you started working on them?
Well, I think that when it comes to at the student level, you learn that you're kind of making things according to how the client wants it, right? Or according to how your professor may want it to be done, right? So I think with that, there's a little less freedom when it comes to having your own creative voice or creative look for it. And you're taught in school to have your own creative look, but still to provide what the client wants. So I think that in terms of after or post school, right? You learn that when it comes to a feature length film, you can't just like edit linearly, right? Or you can't just edit that one timeline. It's a mountain of timelines that you're editing. And if you keep it as organized as possible, because I'll edit scene by scene, right? So each scene has its own sequence, its own folder, and I'll edit those things together. And then I'll have what's called a master timeline, which is the entire film completed. Now, I personally like to color code each scene so that I know what is what and from where.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when I put it all together, then I'll rewatch it, right? And it's good to have people around you that are going to view your film too, because mistakes or things here and there that you can adjust and edit because you're going to need that critique to
Yeah.
make it great.
I think with her, when I working with her and seeing her do corporate, uh, she there's less opportunity for criticism, and you need more criticism in order to perfect it. So in corporate, you get some criticism. They look over your shoulder, but then they want it done. Timeline, done, done, done. It has to be done. And so when you do it more creative, you have more room for criticism, more room for correction, more room for perfecting it.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Just wanted to put that on record. Right. Okay. And so, considering that we are a film festival, and we're talking about everything from start to taking it to the market, film festivals have a system of giving out the laurels.
Yes.
What's the importance of it? What should how should one really use a laurel?
So I think what we've learned and discovered is it's very important, even if it's a smaller film festival, that if you receive a laurel, to put it on your film, to bring more recognition to it. Because honestly, I would say your buyers, when it comes to the streaming channels,
Yes.
they'll want to see that other people care about your film, that they want your film, that they liked it, that it was successful. And that in turn brings more sales. And then more
Yes.
people want your film. And then they say, oh, it's on this platform. One streaming platform may look and see that your film is on other streaming platforms. And they might say, oh, why don't we have this? And then they'll present the idea that they need your film on their platform. And then when it comes to people viewing your film,
Yes.
they'll say, oh, this was in a film festival.
Yes.
I wonder how well it did. It got an award. It got a
Yes.
laurel, so then they'll be interested. So it generates interest for you. And then that is royalties that you can get from those film festivals and from the streaming channels.
Right. It creates a chain reaction. You get one laurel, and then other film festivals asked us, oh, okay, would you like to be a part of our film festival? And then another film festival asked, and then when you display them, it creates a chain reaction with people who are seeing it. Oh, wait, it has two now. Wow, I really got to see this,
And then sometimes the larger festivals that are a little bit more expensive will give you a discount.
Yes.
Because your film did well in another film festival.
Yes, laurels are very important. Which
So
is something
sets up your credit. Sorry.
Oh,
no, it's something we didn't learn before. We didn't know.
Yeah, so it adds up to your credibility.
Yes.
Adds more layer, more visibility again, gets you more eyeballs, more serious eyeballs amongst distributors and festivals. Right. So I think from the first moment that you've been sharing, you've been talking about relationships. You're very vocal about relationships. Now, what is it that they teach us or they don't teach us at the film school about building relationships with the strangers, amongst cast and crew? What is it that we sort of ignore at the early phases, but should not be ignored as we go further? We realize. What have you seen in that?
Well, I would say what I've seen is it's very important for actors to feel comfortable when they're talking to you or expressing concerns. Aside from that, your crew needs to feel comfortable, like you're going to take care of them and that you're going to hear their concerns as well. I would say they might have suggestions too. You might not take every suggestion, but allow them to know that they are heard and listened to by you. I think in order to build that connection, you have to, talk to them, let them voice their opinions. I think it's important because we're not just doing a job here. If you don't really have a happy set, a lot of times in this industry, people are very stressed and it can make the work seem daunting. Not only daunting, but it won't make your production be the way that it is, the way that it should be. If you have people who you express that you care about them, they're going to care more about your project, because they're going to want to see it come to light and to fruition.
And you have 12-hour sets sometimes. You're on set for 12 hours straight. Everybody's stressed. And so it's important to maintain, as a director, as a producer, it's important to maintain yourself. It's important to be able to be calm and comforting and available to everyone, cast and crew. And it's important to stay on the ball when it comes to their needs and meeting their needs. You have to anticipate that before you even start to meet needs. Also, as a producer and her being a director, you have to back the director up. I think the producers and the directors oftentimes can have a toxic relationship, and it's not good. It can happen. I mean, I've always agreed on set. However, I have to back her up. I have to back her up when there's an actor who's just like, no, I don't want to listen to the director. You know what I mean? You have to listen to the director, or whatever it may go down. The producer has to back up the director. Director has to back up the producer. You have to be a team. And that team relationship allows the cast and crew to respect the production more.
Have you had a situation ever that the strangers became more important in the film than the people that you had actually teamed up with? Ever, like any location or anything that you didn't plan for it, but
Faithful. When we had a bar scene. Yeah, we had a bar scene.
Yes.
And we had some regulars who decided to come on set. Ooh, and it was a challenge.
So imagine, like, we're doing a bar scene, and because we want everybody to get home safely, and really you shouldn't, because we're taking so many shots of people maybe drinking here and there, we bought non-alcoholic wines, right? So you have the owner who's like, oh, I'll show you guys some real wine. And we're like, we can't do that.
Not on set.
Not on set. Like after hours
at the
when we're
party.
not working, maybe other people can drink.
Yeah.
But like for us, we need to make sure that each shot turns out right, and from different angles. And then we had regulars who came in, and
Who
then
wanted to
the
drink at the
owner,
bar?
they came in, they're like, oh, this is a party, right?
Oh,
And then they wanted to come drink at the bar, and the owner's like, oh, I'll pour you something.
yes.
So we're counting for people we don't know.
And they became kind of more important, trying to maintain them and keep that under control than the people that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple extras got a little upset.
They were planning it really well, because they would have gotten a drink and they would have been a part of a film. You get the film and you get the drink. What else do you want? That also happens. Like in India, a lot of time in on the road, the roads are never empty, right? So it always happens that you have to include the people on the road in your shot. You have to be just prepared, because there's just no way you can get so many people away from the frame, and especially if it's a longer shoot, so you have to really plan that, okay, people are going to peep in and people are going to come in and something's going to happen. Unless you have, like, of course, a large crew which can monitor, you just have to budget for it in terms of time and your screenplay. There are going to be extras around, and that's part of my story. But yeah, we don't have to serve wine to them. It's okay. All right. So we're in a time of heavy digital marketing. You can't stay away from it. You have to learn to work with it is a better idea than to sort of avoid and let go of its benefits of outreach. But what is it that you would say would be the do's and don'ts of using social media for an independent filmmaker?
Right. I would say one of the don'ts is like I would say, there's some people who use Facebook, and they might pay some money for Facebook marketing, but
we're not against Facebook marketing,
but
you have to limit it.
Yeah, you do have to limit it, because the numbers that we were getting were, I would say, lackluster with that for how much we were paying.
It was disproportionate. We're like, okay, we reached 16,000 people, but they weren't the right audience.
Right.
And it's like, oh, but wait a minute, we chose the right audience, but we're not getting the right audience. So you have to be selective, and you have to limit. You really have to limit, because you could lose more money, and where you can take the funding and direct it somewhere else.
To people who are actually going to promote it. I would say promoting through word of mouth. Anytime you promote something through people that others may trust with a larger audience. If it's social media influencers, if it's like a company that's specifically for marketing, if it's family and friends who really believe in what you're doing, it's good to reach out to those people.
Yes, that's where you want to spend the money. So, okay, you get a free t-shirt, you know what I mean, with the logo on it, or you spend your money in ways that's more practical, more direct. You want to focus your money on more direct marketing.
Right.
Social media, you do it, yes, but you limit it. You don't get caught up in it thinking that this is going to be, I'm going to go viral. Well, you know how you go viral. You go viral by somebody who actually likes it and is a strong influence. So you
True.
focus energy on that.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no other formula to going viral, of course. It's just about the next person who's going to take it forward for you.
Yes.
Right.
Right. The other thing about the challenge of an independent filmmaker always is the financing. Always. Right. So, how do you work? What are your insights into working with less finance?
Right. So I would say, you can talk to, when it comes to locations, talk to owners and ask if there's like, if you could use it for a time being, you might be able to. I know for some people, if it's like a restaurant of sorts, right? They might talk to the owner and ask, oh, is it okay if we buy some food while we're there? Or, that, and ask them if they want the restaurant to be credited,
Yes.
or if they want an actual price, make sure that that's within your reason and bounds for your budget. I would say working on a no budget or low budget is like, there's some places that if you look around enough, they'll and tell them about your project, they might even want to help you out for free. And then for some other things when it comes to
We barter.
Yeah.
So, we did a church location. We did a commercial for them.
Mm-hmm.
We got the
Oh, you
location.
barter like that. Nice.
Right.
In exchange of services.
Yeah, exchange of services.
Better.
Also, we pray a lot.
Yes.
Pray a lot.
Yeah, we definitely depend on a higher power. So to get a lot of things. But so we are part of something called Buy Nothing.
Yeah.
It's
So
like a bartering system where people offer things for free. Keep your eye out. Oh, you're throwing that out. We can use that as a
prop or something.
a prop. So for the bar scene, we had to make a bar. So what we did was, for probably about 2 months, we asked for empty liquor bottles. And so we went around and so I was running around because we have a big vehicle, running around getting liquor bottles for our bar scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we built and then we came in again. We had to come in earlier.
Yeah. And
Set it up. We hired an actual bartender. A friend we knew who was actually a bartender, and then we did that. Not that all our movies have bar scenes in it.
So you basically got the fake bottles and the real bartender.
Yes.
Yeah. I would be curious to see how the shot came out one day.
Oh, I definitely will send you a shot. We'll
Yes.
send you a
I
behind
would
the
love
scenes
to
shot
see
of
that.
Yes.
Right.
And then what else was there? I think when it came to clothes, she mostly we had somebody who was designing like some of the clothes, like an actual seamstress
for the
who was doing
wardrobe.
it for the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And then we also had which she made like pajamas and some props too.
Right.
And then
just
we
starting out.
also had like some things that we bought on discounts.
Oh
that we could
yes,
use.
I had so many discounts. I looked up coupons. I looked up 50% off sales, and I think for one scene when we had a wedding, the suit didn't fit. It was on sale, and I thought the suit would fit, and the suit didn't fit. And she's like, "The suit doesn't fit." And so I ran to a secondhand store, and I'm like, "Oh, we gotta find something," because it was across the street. And we found a suit.
It fit perfectly.
It fit perfectly. It cost us a couple dollars.
Yeah.
So yes,
So yeah,
I shop
always.
clearance.
Sorry.
I shop clearance for the
Super. So yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is having enough time for your pre-prod also.
Yes.
Like for you to shop for or pick up the empty liquor bottles for 2 months. You need to have that sort of a plan up ahead in time that okay, I'm gonna need the bottles and last minute it's gonna cost me so much. So start planning for it and start setting it up.
Yes, definitely. You need time. Time. Um, I think it took us a year for pre-production.
Yeah.
Just gathering everything, finding a space, gathering everything. My house was filled with props. Um, asking people, talking to people, everything. Don't limit yourself to who you're going to get it from or how you're going to get it.
Yeah, and then for me, I would say with the production package, part of it was making sure that there was hospitals nearby every location that we were shooting at, because that's a requirement too. Making sure that if anything happens, if anyone has like a scare or has like an allergy of some sort, I would make sure that I gathered everyone's allergies so they wouldn't be eating anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and then one actor came in, like I got all their allergies, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to drink only liquids because of something that's going on with, like, they had to go to the dentist or something." So they said, "I can't eat anything." So we had to manage that too.
Yeah.
I just making sure that you are
Well prepared.
considerate
Give
of
yourself
people.
enough time
Yeah.
Right.
for it, because I think we shot in 2 weeks, which is
Mhm.
crazy.
Yep.
But we shot in 2 weeks. It actually was 1 week fully on, like almost no sleep.
Yes.
Oh,
But it took a year so that that could go properly and with
wow.
very little bumps.
Wow. So a year to deck it up and then close to 2 weeks to shoot thing inside.
Yes. Mhm.
Lots of planning,
Yep.
Wow. That's
but you
definitely something that I'm taking on. This is like, I normally, if not exactly, but it will be an opposite of it, like a few weeks of planning, if not 2 weeks, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of planning, and then, like shooting over a month, 60 days, 90 days kind of a thing. But but I think that that's how you managed to do it in a reasonable budget and just exactly the way you wanted your shots to be, because you gave a lot of time to the pre-prod.
Right.
yes.
Wow. Okay, I want to open the floor for questions. If anybody has, we've talked about a lot of aspects of production. So send in your questions, anybody, if you want to unmute yourself, um, unmute, come speak before we have more questions for each other.
Hi, this is Shuromo. I'm from India, of course. And it's firstly, I would like to say that it's pretty amazing to see a producer and a director sitting next side by side and talking like happily and smiling all the time. It's so rare, especially in India, because we always see them like fighting and quarreling and everything. So anyway, like all the best for that. I'm so happy to see that. And I would actually like to know, like, this is a fun thing for me, so I'm actually like willing to know, how did you two meet, and how did you two kind of understood that your vibes match, and you are being on the same page with your imaginations and the creativity and the aesthetics.
Well, we're a mother and daughter team.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But let me tell you that means nothing when it comes down to production. Yeah, we have to respect each other. We're very different people. We think differently, and in what aspect. And one thing is, we recognize each other's weaknesses, and so we humble ourselves and fill in each other's weaknesses.
Right.
At first, it's like
Butting heads.
yeah, it's butting heads, and we're like, wait, okay, you know what? We gotta hang up.
Like, even
We
if
need to
it's
go on.
taking a minute.
Yes.
Right. Like,
You go that way, I go that way.
taking a minute to gather and then trying to see it from the other person's perspective, and then being like, okay, well, let me try to be understanding towards what you're saying.
Yes.
And maybe we can meet a compromise somewhere.
Yes. And sometimes I don't understand what she's saying, and she doesn't understand what I'm saying. We just go with it, and it works out.
You always need to like come at a middle ground to kind of perhaps not make things hard for yourselves, maybe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we do have to come to me, especially on some big areas,
I think
especially in some intense moments.
some
Right.
things that I might totally agree with her on, and she might totally agree with me on. But
Mm.
then for other things, for the larger things, you know, we might discuss it and come to an agreement on some things. If it's with what scene we should cut, or what scene is most important, or how we should show this particular atmosphere. I
Mm.
know one of the things was I might be like, oh, I don't think we need too much for preparing for an outdoor shoot, and then it rains, and she's got everything.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, no, we got to take this.
Right.
And
so we cover each other's weaknesses, and we are each other's strengths, I would say.
That's so beautiful. That's so.
Right. But still, like, can we really, measure whose standpoint is more important in terms of uh, for me, when I think of it, I think like creatively, it's perhaps the director vision that needs to be served. It's more important for me than of course producing and thinking about the finance and everything. So does it happen, or is it like absolutely in the middle?
she thinks more of the practical, and I think more of the vision.
Oh,
I think
that's
that's usual.
Yeah, it's not always typical for that to be, because I would be thinking of the practical sense of how we can achieve the vision, and her from a writer's standpoint, she'll be like, this is the vision that I have. And then I'm trying to still accommodate the writer's vision without compromising the shot or taking excessive amounts of time.
Example, we went to a park and we thought it was going to be beautiful, but it rained. She had talked about before. And so we had this vision. It was supposed to be a fantasy type vision, dream state. But when we looked at it, it really was gorgeous. It really turned out gorgeous, turned out more dreamy, more dream state, just as it was, where she was more like, oh, this is a nightmare. You know, how's this going to work? But then we compromised. Let's just do it. Let's just get it done with. And then in post, it was absolutely breathtaking, the shot. We'll send that to you too.
Yes,
Thank you so much for sharing this.
Did you find
absolutely.
your answer, Siromo? Did you find your answer?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like I'm finding so many similarities as well, being another independent filmmaker. So it's like beautiful, really. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Awesome. Any other thoughts running through anybody else? Yes, Anirudh. I'll translate for you. Sure.
जी मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जब भी हम कोई कंटेंट पे काम करते हैं तो हमारे अंदर दो चीजें होती है कि एक तो जो हम अपने लिए क्रिएट करना चाह रहे हैं, जो हमारे अंदर का आर्टिस्ट होता है उसके साथ क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं, एंड एक दूसरा चीज डर होता है कभी कभी कि लोग उस पे कैसे रिएक्ट करेंगे, ये कमर्शियली काम करेगा नहीं करेगा, तो इसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं एक बार मैं जानना चाहता हूँ.
Okay. So his question is that as a creator, there is always a conflict that one goes through. One part of your heart s- knows that there is a story and in a particular way you want to tell it, and then there is a consciousness of what others will think about it. The invisible forces outside, you have that notion of what are the other people going to think about it. Do you ever, is that correct, Anirudh? Did I?
हाँ, काइंड ऑफ, बट मैं ज्यादा उस तरफ पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि आर्ट और कमर्शियल में कैसे बैलेंस कैसे किया जाए.
Acha. Okay, okay, okay. So his point is that how do you balance between an art film and a commercial film? Art film being something that you're very driven by, you're very clear of the kind of story that you want to say as a filmmaker, and commercial is something that okay, this sells, this works, there is a formula in it, right? Now, how do you balance these two things that are coming as a dichotomy from the same person?
So you get the structure, you get the basics. because what I've learned is that there is a certain basic structure that you need in every film that draws the people. And then you take your story and all its pieces and you put it in that structure. So you don't really lose your creativity, but you have the draw. For example, you know that there has to be a preview of the life, and there has to be a change. Then there has to be a big moment, and then there has to be a comeback, and then there has to be the hero moment of change. And so pretty much everything fits in that structure. And that no matter what your story is, the basic human is the basic draw of what the human heart wants to see, wants to be entertained by, is there. It's just same clay, just fashioned differently. Mm-hmm. And so it's important to know that structure, which is, I summarized it, but you know, like there's like Save the Cat is a good beat structure. Mm-hmm. It's a book. Save the Cat is a book. That kind of helped me with the structure mm-hmm. of how to put my ideas in a play. I continually have ideas. And right. So, but I had the same debate. I'm an artist. You know, I want it to look like I want it to look. I want to tell the story. But at the same time, I want people to actually come watch it.
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of things when it comes to emotion that regardless of language barriers, people are still going to see basically what you're trying to show to them, yes. Right? I think that oftentimes we're afraid that if we don't compromise our vision or we don't compromise our art, that no one will get it. There's right. going to be someone who gets it. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to enjoy your film, regardless of maybe the initial feelings of fear that you may have. Yeah. But I would say, you know, to hold on to your vision. And I often like to tell a story where there's going to be, where even if you turn the sound off, there's going to be a resonating of the scenes. You know, they're going to be able to tell what's going on, whether there's sound on or not. Yes. And that's the kind of story you want to tell.
Yes.
अनिरुद्ध, आंसर हुआ आपका क्वेश्चन? है ना? स्ट्रक्चर में रहने की बात कर रहे हैं. वो स्ट्रक्चर सारे ह्यूमन बींग्स को अपील करेगा. तो स्ट्रक्चर, अगर स्टोरी का स्ट्रक्चर फॉलो किया है, वो सारे हाइलाइट्स हैं, यू नो, तो वो और आपका इंटेंट ड्राइव हो रहा है, तो फिर चाहे कमर्शियल की तरफ जाए, चाहे वो आर्ट की तरफ जाए, आपको भी अपना क्रिएटिव सेटिस्फैक्शन मिल जाएगा, क्योंकि आप वो सारी चीज़ें कह पाओगे. और वो कमर्शियल की तरफ अगर जाता भी, तो आपको ये नहीं कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ होगा कि मैंने जो कहना चाह रहा था मैं वो कह ही नहीं पाया, यू नो, बट आपने वो कह दिया. उसके बाद अगर आपको एक और लेयर लग गई उसमें कि अच्छा ये चीज़ें हैं जो इन्होंने एक गाना डलना है उसमें, या उसमें कुछ ऐसे डायलॉग्स होने हैं जो कि वो उसके ऊपर की एक लेयर को एड ऑन कर रहा है उसमें, तो वो शायद आपको ठीक लगेगा उसके बाद. ओके, थैंक यू. Anybody else, or you want to hold on to the question and we move to the next part of the question that I have for them? Okay, good. So seems like now everybody will process. So I was wondering that we all like Nia, you just said that it's about the story that you want to tell, and I don't think anybody will say that human stories don't appeal to them. For all of us, it's some aspect of a human story, something that we must have heard, seen, becomes an inspiration, an idea to go further in, right? But as a student, when we make student films and when we are beginning out, we have a very different we may have a very larger than life notion of a film, you know, that my film will talk about an aspect that nobody has ever seen, right? Fast forward couple of years, we start making films about aspects that you and I live on on a daily basis, right? So it's understanding the human stories at a very at a very high level, like not touching the emotions initially, and then it could be going deeper, understanding, what matters. Finally, everybody wants to go through a family story. Finally, everybody wants to have a romantic angle in the story somewhere. Finally, there has to be a terror. There has to be some tension. There has to be some fear, right? So, what is it that over these few projects that you've done, you have gotten a better hold on for the human story aspect of it, delivering a perfect human story?
I would say one of the things that that helped me was observing human behavior, and I think that is part of like what her degree is about, is observing human behavior and how we as humans interact with each other. I think, oftentimes there was I would say an exercise that in school that helped me out of school. I think I paid more attention to it. It's like if you're on a bus or if you're in traffic or something, or if you just happen to walk by people, make the subtle note of how they act towards each other. You can tell, I would say, with a couple, if two people are in love or if they're not, you know, based on how they treat each other, how they're walking together, right? If they're holding hands or not, just things of of that nature that is going to help you understand how you want to show emotion in your film, right? So I think with that, hopefully I'm answering your question properly.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
to add to that, I think layers. I like layers. I'm learning that the more layers draws the more interest. So everything is important. So the flowers, whether they're alive or dead, the pictures on the wall, the art, the movement of the body, she likes to do close-ups. And so the look in the eyes and the just how they move, or the lighting, everything has to be layered. Everything has to be layered. And what we learned, especially in our last film, is that we took one space, and in that space we created 3 different moods, 3 different scenes. And so we could take that one space and we pulled it from a restaurant to a club,
So with that one, with talk, we just had one room. We were shooting in a bedroom, right? So we went from using a bedroom, moving things around to make it look like a diner, moving things around again to make it look like a club, and then moving it around again to make it look like a dinner setting. And lighting is very important, because depending on the lighting, if you make it drastically different than the last thing, and if you shoot it a certain way, people won't even notice it's the same room.
And so we had in the film, we had so in the relationships that were toxic, we had dead flowers on the table. And then for the relationship that was really tense, it was very close, very dark scene, but it was a very close-up shots. And so when we had the reaction to the film, in the end, everybody was cheering. And it's because, they were able to connect. And so it was so layered that now we can say this and we can talk about the film, and it might draw people to come back more. Oh, wait, I didn't notice the flowers. Okay, I didn't notice the picture, And so I think what I've learned also is that it's good to layer your film. Every good film has layers.
Absolutely. And layers is, like you said, it's come from observation of how you see around. And everything is subjective. How we see around, like Nia, what you said, like if people are walking by and are they holding hand or not. Now, not everybody who is in love holds hand only. They may not hold hand, but there might be something else about the way they look at each other, or something that just shows that they're connected. It may not be just one of that, but attending to that.
I think also culturally, it's really important to pay attention to those things when you're doing movies culturally, the differences.
Yes.
Because depending on the culture, it may not be appropriate for some people to kiss in public. It may be widely accepted for people to, or there's different ways that, we show affection towards each other. I think it's good to be well-rounded in that aspect to know what audience you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
And respect the audiences you aren't trying to reach.
Yes.
Yes, I was coming to that actually. That was my last question is that what have you learned about audience in the last few years from, let's say, compared to what you thought about it initially?
You think you know what they're gonna laugh at or what they're gonna fall in love with or who they're gonna connect to. But until you sit in that theater and that screen starts rolling with your film and you sit there and you're like, oh, they're gonna laugh, and then they don't laugh, and then you're like, they didn't laugh. Oh no, and you can't take it to heart. But then they laugh and you're like, well, why was that funny?
Yeah, it was like, that was a serious moment, and they thought it was funny.
I thought it was
because
hilarious.
how the person was looking or how they were showing their emotions. Like there might be an argument in the film,
Right.
and then one character is got a very angry face, and they'll be
Right.
like, oh, that's so funny how
Yes.
they look. That might be one thing.
Yes.
And then I would say with audiences, be prepared to I would say accommodate the audiences that you aren't exactly looking to reach, or that you might have an
Yes.
oversight on,
Yes.
right? So you might be thinking, okay, I want to reach young adults, right? But then it might be older people who are thinking about I would say being aware that it might resonate with different audiences too.
And keep an open mind.
Yeah.
So whoever comes, whoever it connects to, address them, be open to them, be available to them, and they have lots of questions. So definitely answer the questions and take note from it. You really can't predict your audience. You really cannot completely predict your audience. So be open to wherever the direction the film is going. And just be ready. Just be ready to answer the questions.
Beautiful. Shamas, do you have any question? Angad, Aparajita, Kritika, Vidya, Eric, Akash, Jenny, Aditya, Victor? Come on. That's your life rolling in front of you. You have to have a question. Anything crossing your minds?
Hi, Sonia. This is Shamish.
Yes, Shamas. Hi.
Yeah, I was just listening to the talk in between. I joined late. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Well, there's nothing specific. I was just listening to what they're saying. It's interesting, and things are made clear. So very happy to see both of them together. And thank you very much.
Welcome. Great. All right. So before we close and see, we can see absolutely beautiful chemistry between both of you, and I think all of us are relating to it and loving it. And of course, like Surma picked it up, that considering that you both are director producers, so the evil and the friend together, it's a beautiful, it's the beautiful chemistry to watch for. So I have a quick rapid fire to check whether your chemistry exists in the rapid fire also or not.
Okay.
We're gonna test it out. All right. Okay. So both of you can answer it or one of it before I move to the other one. Short film or documentary?
Short film.
Documentary.
There you go. Fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
One. Human stories or environment?
Human.
Two. Small budget or medium budget?
No.
It depends
If
on
it's
the
a choice.
production.
Yes. Medium, I'll say medium.
Yeah, I was gonna say medium too.
Okay, good. So you're aligned on that. I thought the producer is going to say small, 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 small budget, smallest.
I was there. I was pulling. It was a
Then you
tug.
realize there are people listening to you, so you said medium.
Yes, you're
All
probably
right.
right.
Self-funded or commissioned?
Self-funded.
Three, four actually. Yeah. Patriotic or global?
Global.
Global.
Man, they're in sync. Oh my god. Okay. Festival route or television?
Festival.
Television.
Okay. Um, Institutional funding or investors?
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Institutional.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
I'm not
hard.
sure.
Not sure, so we'll pass that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the producer has an answer to that. Come on.
Institutional.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
I'm just
Nia?
happy for the funding.
Exactly. As long as I have the funding, I don't care where it's coming from. Yeah. Okay, so would you have more emphasis on music as being a hero of the story, or for you, music is just another layer amongst many other?
I love music.
Music, I think,
Everything
is
has to
very
have
important.
music.
Yeah, because we're listening to it without music, and then music just makes it better.
Come alive. It's like blossoming a flower.
Man, they're the quite in sync, huh? I am so impressed. I thought the first part of the conversation must have been something that because you work so much, it's already sort of synced in. But the
Oh,
rest
yeah, yes, yes.
is super good. Lovely. Awesome. So thank you. Really, I know we can keep on pricking your brain because it's so much of your experience, so many years of your experience in working together. But what we have covered is the life of an independent filmmaker, literally.
Agree.
Oh,
I'm so
wonderful.
glad.
Yeah,
So,
we've talked about pretty much a lot of things that all of us as independent filmmakers deal with. Um, Hi, Patricia. What I can understand from your message is that you're from Argentina. So, welcome to Milhar Film Festival. I think you've just joined in, so you might not have heard a lot of conversation, but let me give you an introduction of a guest since you've just come in. That's Naimi and that's Nia, and they are in the US, and they work as a team, director and producer. They've done different formats of the films, and right now we're talking about the life of an independent filmmaker through various shades of theatrical releases to screenings to editing timelines to production budgets to everything. Would you have a question? I think she's trying to set up her device.
well, while she's setting up, I just want to wish you all success.
Yes, and we're very happy to be here and to speak on some of our experiences to help
Yes.
you guys and to see what you all create.
Yes, we definitely want to look and see all the films that you've done also.
Yeah, and I think you must watch whenever you have time. We have like so many wonderful films at Mulhar, 300 plus films. So it's going to take like a few months to watch all of them. So I would really appreciate if you watch the films of our filmmakers here and leave your
Yes.
comments, leave your thoughts, leave your feedbacks for them. It will be very valuable coming from your understanding of things. Yeah.
No
Yes.
problem.
Can I
Well,
plug in my film here?
yes, plug it in. Plug it in.
Yeah, so my film's name is The River, and I when I first heard about your film that talks about someone who is dealing with depression, it's very similar to my film as well because I my film has the same kind of topic where the person she is a painter and she is dealing with depression, and the story talks about her last 24 hours of her life. So yeah, I would really appreciate if you could give it a watch and let me know in the comments, or definitely we can catch up in a connect somewhere on social media or somewhere. And yes, definitely, where can I actually connect, on Insta or Twitter or somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
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 So
LinkedIn.
we have,
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is better?
Yes. And we're
Yeah.
on
Yes.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find us under our names.
Yes.
And then we
Okay.
have our
I'll
social
share the
media.
links with you, Surma.
Sure, yeah, that would be
So
great.
we'd like to watch.
And
Yes, we
they
appreciate
absolutely respond like in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I I don't find that response because literally I do that. I am
Oh,
responding to everyone
okay.
all the time. So I think I have found a match in you by like I send in and you reply and you send in and I reply. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. So
Thank you
great.
so much. It was amazing.
Oh,
Loved it.
thank you. We
Absolutely.
look forward to
Thank you.
connecting with you.
Absolutely. Yes, same here.
And anybody else, I mean, even if you're busy right now and you want to connect with them, I'll share the LinkedIn links and please go ahead and talk. Is that okay, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really very special for me that you've come at such a short notice by my just asking you once to come and share your thoughts means a lot. We're a very new festival and everything that we are curating is something that I wish somebody would have done it for me. So all of you coming together and sharing, guiding means a lot. Thank you very much.
Having us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I hope everything continues to be beautiful and wonderful at the film festival and that you all
Yes.
enjoy it so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Cheers from Mexico. Cheers from Argentina. Cheers from India.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. It's so beautiful. It becomes such a small world, just like
Yes.
Yes.
we're all talking from everywhere. Thank you. All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So while you're here, I just want to remind you the next session is going to be in half an hour, and that's all about sound designing. There's like a phenomenal expert coming in from Poland, and he runs an amazing sound studio. He's a music composer and sound engineer, recordist, and he is going to talk about again how can independent filmmakers get their sounds right, considering that the studio is not at our liberty, the budgets are not at our liberty. Most of the time we record on ambience, and then we're trying to deal with that ambience, right? So some of the very basic things that we all deal with is how an expert would look at, fast forward many years of experience, how does he look at, how could he have done that right, and sharing from that. So it's going to be another super thing. So go grab something to eat, take a quick break, and we will be here in exactly half an hour again. All right? Anything for me? Anything anybody wants to let me know for the sessions, for the festival? All good? All right. See you around in half an hour. Take care. And yes, if you have a crew member who works with you on sound, please bring them along. You saw in the cinematography, in the lighting session, that there is only that much that a director can comprehend. It's finally that specialized person who has to go and execute it. So I really think get the right people in. And even if you don't think that you will be working with them, but educating another person is a good idea. Yeah. All right. See you around in half an hour. Bye bye.